There's a peculiar irony in the human pursuit of wealth. We chase it with clenched fists while it flows most freely through open hands. We strategize, we hustle, we calculate every angle. Yet the millionaire sleeping soundly in the penthouse suite often cannot explain precisely why prosperity found them, while their equally talented neighbor remains broke. The difference, more often than not, isn't in the waking hours at all. It's in those mysterious 8 hours when consciousness surrenders, when the logical mind finally stops interfering, and the deeper architect of reality, the subconscious, takes the wheel and begins building tomorrow according to blueprints we didn't even know we were submitting. Here's the truth that changes everything. Your financial future is being written right now, in the theater of your sleeping mind, by scripts you inherited before you could speak. Every night, as you drift into theta, your subconscious plays the same old recordings: lack, unworthiness, scarcity, struggle, and dutifully constructs a tomorrow that matches those frequencies. But what if you could interrupt that broadcast? What if, in those final moments before sleep claims you, you could hand your subconscious a completely different set of instructions? Not through force, not through repetition of empty affirmations, but through a precise understanding of how the mind actually receives and implements new programming. When the gatekeeper of logic finally goes off duty, this isn't about manifesting a check from the universe or waiting for some cosmic lottery. This is about leveraging the most powerful reprogramming window available to any human being, the threshold between waking and sleeping, to install a wealth blueprint so fundamental, so identity deep, that prosperity becomes as natural to you as breathing. You're about to discover how mystics, millionaires, and those rare individuals who seem to attract abundance effortlessly have been doing this for centuries, often without consciously knowing it. And you're going to learn the exact mechanism, the precise method, the nightly ritual that transforms financial reality from the inside out. The promise isn't comfort. The promise is power, the power to become someone abundance recognizes on sight. The subconscious mind doesn't debate or negotiate, it simply accepts. While your conscious awareness argues, doubts, and second guesses every financial decision, your subconscious operates like the most loyal servant who ever lived, implementing without question whatever pattern you've impressed upon it most consistently and emotionally. This is both the magnificent opportunity and the hidden danger of overnight reprogramming. The subconscious listens most intently not when you're trying hardest to convince it, but when your conscious defenses are dissolving, those sacred minutes before sleep when the brainwave patterns shift from beta alertness into alpha relaxation and, finally, into the theta state where suggestion becomes law. Think of it this way: during the day, your conscious mind is like a bouncer at an exclusive club, checking credentials, questioning motives, rejecting ideas that don't match established beliefs. But as sleep approaches, the bouncer clocks out, and whatever you're holding in your awareness at that moment walks straight into the subconscious database without inspection. This is why drifting off while scrolling through social media comparisons or replaying financial failures is catastrophic. You're literally programming poverty consciousness as your nightly installation. Conversely, those who understand this mechanism use these threshold moments to deposit wealth assumptions, abundance identity, and prosperity expectations directly into the vault that determines tomorrow's demonstration. The beauty of this process is its elegant simplicity. The subconscious doesn't require elaborate rituals or perfect conditions. It requires clarity, feeling, and repetition during the window when it's actually listening. A person can spend years doing morning affirmations with minimal results because they're trying to reprogram when the defenses are up, when doubt can interfere. But spend just 10 minutes before sleep, in that dreamy twilight state, holding a clear image of your abundant identity with corresponding emotion, and you've done more reprogramming than a month of daytime effort. The overnight hours then become an 8-hour installation period where the new pattern gets integrated into every cell, every neural pathway, every automatic response that governs your financial behavior. Creating the sacred container for overnight reprogramming begins with something most people overlook entirely: breath. Not the shallow, anxious breathing of a mind spinning through tomorrow's problems, but the deep, rhythmic breathing that signals to every system in your body that it's safe to surrender control. Before you even think about wealth or abundance or new identity, you must first create the physiological state that allows reprogramming to occur. 3 minutes of conscious breathing, 4 counts in, hold for 4, 6 counts out, shifts brain chemistry, lowers cortical resistance, and opens the gate between conscious and subconscious realms. This isn't mystical theater. This is practical neuroscience dressed in ancient wisdom. Posture matters more than most spiritual teachings acknowledge. The body and mind are not separate entities but one continuous feedback loop, and the position you assume before sleep either facilitates or obstructs subconscious receptivity. Lying flat on your back, arms uncrossed, palms open, this is the posture of reception, of allowing, of readiness to receive new instruction. Contrast this with the fetal position of protection, arms wrapped around yourself, body contracted into defense mode. You cannot program abundance while your physical form is screaming scarcity and self-protection. The wealthy sleep differently not because wealth taught them how, but because their sleep posture reflects an inner state of openness that preceded the wealth itself. Gentle attention completes the container, not forced concentration that creates tension, but the soft focus of someone watching clouds drift across a summer sky. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They try too hard, they grip the visualization, they force the feeling, and in doing so, they activate the very conscious resistance they're trying to bypass. The art is to hold your intended reality lightly, like a soap bubble you don't want to pop, allowing it to float in your awareness without grasping. When you feel your mind starting to drift, don't pull it back with force. Instead, let your awareness of abundance be the last thing you notice as consciousness fades. That final impression, delivered without resistance in those last seconds before sleep, often carries more reprogramming power than everything that preceded it. The subconscious is always listening, but it listens most carefully to whispers delivered just before the door closes. Abundance doesn't chase people, it recognizes its own. This is the identity shift that changes everything, the understanding that wealth is not something you acquire but something you become resonant with. Right now, at the level of identity, you are someone. Perhaps you're someone who struggles with money, or someone who works hard but never gets ahead, or someone from a family that never had much. These identities are not who you are, they're simply stories your subconscious accepted long ago, and has been faithfully demonstrating ever since. The overnight reprogramming work is fundamentally about becoming, at the identity level, the kind of person that abundance recognizes as a match, as home, as the natural destination for prosperity's flow. Consider how the wealthy move through the world, not with arrogance but with a quiet assumption of sufficiency. They don't hope money will come. They expect it because, at identity level, they are someone money comes to. This isn't positive thinking, it's identity alignment. A person can repeat "I am wealthy" 10,000 times, but if their core identity remains "I am someone who struggles," the subconscious will sabotage every opportunity to maintain identity coherence. The work, then, is to feed the subconscious a new identity during that theta window before sleep. I am someone through whom abundance flows naturally. I am someone who creates value effortlessly. I am someone prosperity seeks out. Not as wishful thinking, but as quiet, firm declaration of who you're becoming. The shift happens gradually, then suddenly. For weeks, you might feel like you're play acting, like you're wearing a costume of abundance that doesn't quite fit. This is normal. Identity change always feels false at first because the old pattern protests. But then comes the morning when you make a financial decision from the new identity without thinking, when you negotiate your worth without apology, when you receive money without surprise or embarrassment. That's when you know the overnight programming has taken root. You haven't just changed your thoughts about money. You've become someone else entirely, someone abundance recognizes on sight and rushes toward like a river finding its path to the sea. The person you were could never hold the wealth you're becoming capable of, and that's exactly why the transformation must happen at the level of identity, where change is permanent and demonstration is inevitable. Assumption is the final word in the conversation between desire and manifestation. While others hope, wish, and wonder if prosperity might possibly find them someday, the person who understands divine law simply assumes the outcome and lets the universe handle the details. This is not blind optimism, it's the practiced application of a principle as reliable as gravity. What you assume to be true about yourself and your relationship with money becomes the blueprint your subconscious uses to construct tomorrow. The overnight reprogramming work is largely about installing assumptions so deeply that they become the unquestioned foundation of your financial reality. Here's where most people stumble. They try to assume abundance while simultaneously running catastrophic scenarios about bills, job security, and worst-case futures. Assumption doesn't mean ignoring practical concerns. It means deciding the outcome in advance and then taking action from that settled place. Before sleep, when the conscious mind's objections are weak and fading, you can implant assumptions with surgical precision. It is done. The money is already here. The opportunity has already found me. I am already living in the abundance I seek. Not as a future hope, but as a present fact your subconscious simply hasn't demonstrated in physical form yet. The assumption becomes the final word, and everything that follows is merely the evidence catching up to the verdict already rendered. The power of assumption compounds when combined with emotional signature. Your subconscious doesn't just record the words. It records the feeling tone wrapped around those words. This is why assuming abundance while feeling desperate produces no results. The emotion contradicts the assumption, and the subconscious always believes the feeling over the words. The skill, then, is to practice assumption with the emotional tone of relief, satisfaction, and doneness. Imagine how you'll feel when the money arrives, the opportunity manifests, the financial pressure releases, then feel that now, as you fall asleep, as if it's already accomplished. This emotional assumption, held in the theta state, becomes the instruction manual your subconscious follows overnight. Rearranging circumstances, drawing synchronicities, and magnetizing exactly what you've assumed as inevitable. The final word has been spoken. Now watch the universe rush to confirm it. Casting the burden is the spiritual technology most people never learn. The art of releasing financial anxiety and shame into the hands of something larger than your individual effort. For too many, the relationship with money is a constant carrying worry, carrying past mistakes, carrying the weight of bills and obligations and inherited scarcity like a boulder strapped to the back. This carrying is not noble. It's the very thing blocking abundance from flowing freely into your experience. The overnight reprogramming process includes a specific release mechanism, a nightly unburdening that allows you to sleep in peace while higher intelligence handles what your conscious striving cannot. The practice is simple but profound. Before sleep, name the burden specifically. I release this anxiety about next month's rent. I release this shame about past financial failures. I release this fear that I'll never have enough. Then, rather than trying to solve it or manage it or positive think your way through it, you consciously hand it over to divine mind, to the universe, to the intelligence that grows trees and orchestrates galaxies. This isn't abdication of responsibility. It's recognition that some burdens were never yours to carry in the first place. Your job is to show up, take aligned action, and create value. The how, when, and through whom of abundance is the universe's job, and it's far better at that job than you are. What happens overnight when you've genuinely cast the burden is borderline miraculous. The subconscious, no longer tied up in anxious problem-solving loops, redirects that energy toward receptivity, creativity, and magnetic attraction. You sleep deeper, dream clearer, and wake with ideas you didn't have the day before. More importantly, you stop radiating the desperate, grasping frequency that repels money and start emanating the relaxed confidence that draws it. People can feel when you're carrying versus when you're trusting, and opportunities flow toward trust while avoiding desperation like the plague. The nightly practice of casting your financial burdens isn't passive, it's the most powerful active choice you can make, the decision to let grace do what grinding never could. Let the burden go tonight. You were never meant to carry it alone. Divine law versus randomness. This is the fork in the road where most people unconsciously choose poverty. If you believe prosperity is random, a matter of luck, timing, who you know, or cosmic lottery, then you'll live at the mercy of chance, hoping good fortune might glance your way. But if you understand that prosperity operates according to principle, as reliable and impersonal as mathematics, then you step into a completely different relationship with money. You become a practitioner rather than a beggar, someone who applies law rather than someone who prays for exceptions to it. The overnight work is about impressing this understanding so deeply into your subconscious that you stop gambling with hope and start demonstrating with certainty. The divine law of prosperity is elegantly simple. Circulation precedes increase, consciousness determines demonstration. And what you assume you become. It's not personal, the law doesn't care about your history, your mistakes, or whether you deserve abundance. It responds to your consciousness the way soil responds to seed. Plant scarcity thinking, reap scarcity. Plant abundance consciousness, reap abundance. The randomness most people experience is not the absence of law but the presence of contradictory consciousness, wanting wealth while believing in lack, desiring more while feeling unworthy. The law is still working perfectly, demonstrating the confusion. When you align your consciousness with a single clear frequency of abundance, especially during the reprogramming window before sleep, the law has no choice but to demonstrate that frequency in your physical reality. This shifts everything about how you approach overnight reprogramming. You're not begging the universe for special treatment. You're aligning with principle. Before sleep, instead of hopeful wishing, you're making a clear statement to the law. I am aligned with abundance. I circulate freely. I am worthy of prosperity. I expect demonstration. The subconscious, which is the operating system through which divine law expresses in your individual life, accepts this as instruction and begins rearranging your world to match. Opportunities you would have missed suddenly become visible. Resources you didn't know existed appear. People, circumstances, and timing align with eerie precision, not because you got lucky, but because you invoked law. Prosperity is not an accident waiting to happen. It's a principle waiting to be applied, and the application begins in consciousness. Specifically in the consciousness you hold as you surrender into sleep. Gratitude as circulation is one of the most misunderstood prosperity principles. Often reduced to empty thankfulness lists that produce no tangible results. Real gratitude, the kind that opens financial floodgates, is the active closing of old loops and the intentional opening of new gates. Every time money has flowed to you, even $1, even a decade ago, and you haven't completed the cycle with genuine appreciation, that loop remains open, leaking energy and blocking new flow. The overnight reprogramming process must include a circulation practice. Before sleep, you mentally walk through the day's receipts and transmissions, speaking gratitude for every dollar received and every dollar given, thus completing the cycle and signaling to the universe that you're ready for the next wave. This isn't about pretending to be thankful for bills or financial hardship. It's about recognizing that money, like breath, must flow in and out to sustain life. When you hoard breath, you suffocate. When you grip money in fear, you strangle the very flow that would bring more. Gratitude is the energetic release that says, I received, I acknowledge, I release with blessing. And I trust more is coming. Each night, as you prepare for sleep, you can literally feel yourself closing loops. Thank you for the client payment. Thank you for the unexpected refund. Thank you for the ability to pay that bill. With each acknowledgement, you're telling your subconscious that you're in flow, that money comes and goes naturally, that you're not in scarcity mode but circulation mode. The opening of new gates happens simultaneously. When you approach sleep in a state of genuine gratitude for what has already circulated, you create a magnetic field that draws more circulation toward you. It's as if gratitude sends a signal into the quantum field. This person completes cycles, appreciates flow, and can be trusted with more. New opportunities don't come to those who take flow for granted or who receive without acknowledging. They come to those who honor the circulation itself. Make it a nightly practice. 3 things you're grateful for financially, no matter how small, spoken with genuine feeling as you drift toward theta. This simple act, repeated consistently, recalibrates your relationship with money from grasping to receiving, from lack to flow, from closed to open. The universe adores a grateful heart, not because it needs your thanks, but because gratitude is the frequency through which abundance most easily flows. Mental diet is the unsexy truth that most prosperity seekers ignore at their peril. You cannot feed your mind garbage all day and expect to reprogram abundance overnight. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between real experience and vicarious experience, scrolling through social media comparisons, consuming news cycles designed to trigger fear and outrage, surrounding yourself with people who normalize financial struggle. All of this is food for the subconscious. And whatever you feed consistently becomes the soil condition in which your overnight programming either thrives or withers. Guarding your inputs isn't about toxic positivity or ignoring reality. It's about protecting the seed of abundance you're planting each night before sleep. Consider the person who spends their evening watching true crime stories about financial ruin, then tries to fall asleep visualizing wealth. The subconscious has just been marinated in catastrophe, fear, and loss. The weak theta state suggestion of abundance doesn't stand a chance against hours of vivid disaster programming. Or the person who scrolls Instagram, absorbing image after image of wealth they don't have, feeling envy disguised as inspiration, then wonders why their manifestation work produces nothing but more longing. The mental diet requires ruthless curation. What you watch, what you read, what you listen to, who you spend time with, all of it is either supporting your abundance programming or sabotaging it. There's no neutral content when it comes to subconscious influence. The practical application is both simple and demanding. Create a pre-sleep buffer zone, a sacred hour where you consciously choose inputs that align with prosperity consciousness. This might mean reading Napoleon Hill instead of doom-scrolling news. It might mean listening to lectures on wealth principles instead of true crime podcasts. It might mean having conversations about possibilities and solutions instead of complaints and problems. The subconscious is absorbing everything right up until the moment you fall asleep. So that final hour is either the runway for your overnight abundance programming or the demolition crew that tears it down before it can take root. Protect the seed. Guard the soil. Curate the mental diet with the same care a bodybuilder curates their nutrition. Because your financial body is being built from the thoughts you consume. And overnight is when the construction happens. Decrees and declarations are the conscious use of language to instruct the subconscious. The practice of speaking outcomes into existence by impressing them upon the only mind that has the power to demonstrate them. This is not the law of attraction fluff that pretends. Saying I am rich 3 times makes you wealthy. This is the precise application of linguistic authority during the state when the subconscious is most receptive to command. The words you speak in those final minutes before sleep are not wishes or hopes. They are instructions, decrees, declarations of what already is in consciousness and what must therefore become in form. The subconscious, which speaks the language of symbols, images, and authority, responds to declarative statements the way a supercomputer responds to code. It begins executing immediately. The structure matters enormously. Weak language produces weak results. I hope to be abundant someday is not a decree. It's a confession of current lack with a side of doubt. I am abundant now, and my reality is reorganizing to reflect this truth is a decree, present tense, certain, final. The subconscious doesn't wait for future demonstrations. It only knows now. When you declare, "Money flows to me easily and continuously," spoken with the tone of someone stating an obvious fact. The subconscious accepts this as operational reality and begins filtering perception, directing attention, and magnetizing circumstances to match. The decree isn't creating abundance out of nothing. It's aligning your internal frequency with the abundance that already exists, instructing your subconscious to tune to that channel and stay there. The nightly practice builds momentum exponentially. Choose 3 decrees that resonate with your specific financial transformation. Perhaps I am worthy of unlimited prosperity. Opportunities seek me out, and I manage wealth with wisdom and joy. Each night, as you settle into bed, speak these decrees aloud or internally with full authority, as if you're a sovereign declaring law in your kingdom. Feel the words in your body. Let them resonate in your chest, your bones, your cells. This isn't performance or pretending, it's the conscious installation of new programming while the gatekeeper sleeps. Over 30 nights, these decrees become embedded patterns. Over 90 nights, they become your new default reality. The subconscious has been given its orders, and unlike the conscious mind, it doesn't argue or delay, it simply obeys the last clear instruction given with feeling and authority. Speak your prosperity into being tonight. The subconscious is waiting for your command, visualization that sticks as a craft, not a fantasy. Most people's visualization practice is so vague and lifeless that the subconscious barely registers it. They imagine having money as an abstract concept. Maybe see some green bills floating in mental space. Feel nothing in particular, and wonder why nothing manifests. But the visualization that actually reprograms overnight is scene design, a vivid, sensory-rich, emotionally charged movie that the subconscious experiences as real. You're not imagining abundance. You're living a specific moment of your abundant life so convincingly that your subconscious cannot tell the difference between visualization and memory. When the distinction blurs, the subconscious begins treating your visualization as something that has already happened and moves heaven and earth to create consistency with that memory. Scene design requires specificity. Don't visualize being rich, visualize checking your bank account and seeing a specific number that represents your next financial milestone. See the screen, notice the font, read the number digit by digit, feel your eyes widen slightly, feel the warmth spreading through your chest. Or visualize having a conversation with your partner about taking a spontaneous trip because money is no longer a limiting factor. Hear their voice, see their expression, feel the ease in your own shoulders. The more specific the scene, the more sensory anchors you include, what you see, hear, feel, maybe even smell or taste, the deeper the impression on the subconscious. This isn't daydreaming. This is surgical memory implantation. The emotional signature seals it. A visualization without emotion is like a meal without nutrition. It passes through without nourishing. As you play your abundance scene in the theater of your mind during those pre-sleep minutes, you must simultaneously generate the feeling of that reality, relief, joy, satisfaction, peace, excitement, whatever the scene would genuinely evoke. The subconscious records the emotion even more powerfully than the images, and that emotional signature becomes the homing beacon drawing similar experiences toward you. Practice this nightly, one specific, sensory-rich scene of your abundant life, held with corresponding emotion as you drift toward theta. The scene may evolve over time, or you may replay the same one for weeks, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're depositing a pattern so vivid, so real, so emotionally charged that your subconscious has no choice but to manifest its physical equivalent. The bridge between imagination and reality is narrower than you think. And you cross it every night when you visualize with precision and feeling. The theta bridge is the narrow window of time, perhaps only minutes, when your brainwave frequency shifts from the alert beta of daily consciousness down through alpha relaxation into theta, the hypnagogic state where the conscious mind loses its grip and the subconscious stands fully open. This is the golden window for overnight reprogramming, the brief portal when suggestions bypass all critical filters and install directly into the operating system of your mind. Miss this window, and you're trying to program abundance with your defenses up. Catch this window, and you can rewrite your entire financial blueprint in a single session. The art is learning to recognize theta's arrival and to hold your abundance pattern, image, feeling, decree, right there in that dreamy twilight as you drift into sleep. You'll know you're approaching theta by the signs. Your body feels heavy, almost like you're sinking into the mattress. Your thoughts start to fragment, becoming less logical and more dreamlike. External sounds seem distant. Your awareness of the room begins to fade. This is it. This is the moment when your conscious mind is handing over the controls. Instead of letting random thoughts, worries, or day residue occupy this precious space, you gently guide your awareness to your chosen pattern, your decree, your scene, your identity statement. You hold it lightly, without force, allowing it to be the last thing your conscious mind touches before sleep claims you. That final impression, delivered in theta, often carries more reprogramming weight than hours of conscious affirmation work. The skill develops with practice. At first, you might fall asleep too quickly and miss the window, or you might try too hard to stay conscious and push yourself back into alert beta. The sweet spot is a relaxed awareness, like watching yourself fall asleep from a distance. Some find it helpful to repeat a single short decree as they drift: I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant, using the repetition to keep gentle focus while allowing sleep to approach. Others prefer to hold a visual scene and let it blur into dreams. There's no perfect method, only the method that allows you to plant your abundance seed in theta soil and then let go completely. Over weeks of practice, you'll develop an instinct for that window. And you'll learn to use it with precision. Knowing that whatever pattern you hold in theta becomes the blueprint your subconscious uses to construct tomorrow. The bridge is narrow, but the crossing changes everything. Microproof and effortless demonstration are how you know the overnight reprogramming is working, not in dramatic windfalls or sudden millions, but in the small, often overlooked evidences that your subconscious has accepted new programming and is beginning to demonstrate it. The person waiting for the lottery win misses the $20 bill they found, the unexpected refund, the friend who suddenly repays an old debt, the stranger who buys their coffee. These aren't accidents or coincidences. They're microproofs, the subconscious showing you it received the message and is starting to rearrange reality to match. Noticing and acknowledging these small wins is not just encouraging, it's essential to accelerating the programming. Because recognition reinforces the pattern and tells the subconscious to send more. Effortless demonstration is the hallmark of deep programming. When abundance appears in your life without strain, without you having to force or manipulate or chase, that's your sign that the identity shift is taking hold. Perhaps someone offers you an opportunity without you asking. Perhaps money arrives from an unexpected source. Perhaps you negotiate better terms without even preparing. The ease is the evidence. The old you would have struggled, pushed, and ground for every inch. The new you, the one being built overnight in theta, attracts these demonstrations naturally because they match the frequency you've been installing. Each effortless win is proof that you're becoming, at the subconscious level, the kind of person abundance flows to rather than someone who chases it. The practice is simple. Keep a microproof journal. Each morning, or before bed, note any evidence of abundance from the previous day, no matter how small. A penny found. A discount received. A compliment on your work. A door that opened unexpectedly. The act of noticing and recording trains your perception to see abundance where you previously saw nothing, and what you focus on expands. More importantly, acknowledging microproofs tells your subconscious, yes, I see what you're doing, keep going, which accelerates the demonstration process. Most people abort their manifestation work precisely because they ignore the early evidence, declaring it's not working while standing in a field of small wins they refuse to acknowledge. Don't make that mistake. Celebrate the microproofs. Honor the effortless demonstrations. They're not the beginning of your abundance, they're the evidence that it's already here and growing. Money Beliefs Audit is the archaeological dig through the layers of your financial consciousness, uncovering the inherited scripts, childhood imprints, and cultural programming that have been running your money life on autopilot. These beliefs are rarely conscious, they're the invisible assumptions operating in your subconscious. The ones you absorbed before age 7 when your brain was essentially a recording device with no critical filter. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. Money is the root of all evil. You have to work hard for money. Each of these scripts, heard and absorbed in childhood, became a command to your subconscious about how money works and what your relationship with it should be. Until you excavate and rewrite these scripts, your overnight reprogramming is trying to install abundance software on a scarcity operating system. The audit begins with brutal honesty. What were the messages about money in your household growing up? What did your parents say, do, and model regarding finances? What emotions surrounded money? Was it freedom or fear, possibility or stress? Write them down, every single belief you can remember absorbing. Then, and this is crucial, you challenge each one. Is this belief actually true, or is it just a story someone else handed me? You have to work hard for money might have been true for your parents, but is it a universal law or just one possible relationship with abundance? The moment you realize these scripts are not truth but programming, you gain the power to choose different programming. The rewriting happens in layers. And the most effective layer is the overnight installation. Once you've identified a limiting script, say, I'm not good with money, you craft its opposite truth. I am naturally skilled with money and make wise financial decisions. Each night before sleep, as you approach theta, you speak the new script with authority. You visualize yourself demonstrating this new truth. And you feel what it feels like to be someone who is good with money. Over time, this new script overwrites the old one. The subconscious doesn't care which belief is real, it simply runs whatever program has been installed most recently and emotionally. 30 nights of installing I am financially wise will overwrite 30 years of I'm not good with money, but only if you understand that beliefs are not facts, they're just programs. And programs can be rewritten. Tonight, you get to decide which programs run your financial future. Value creation is the bridge between spiritual abundance principles and practical prosperity. The recognition that money flows most freely to those who solve real problems with simplicity and excellence. All the overnight reprogramming in the world cannot substitute for the basic economic reality. People exchange money for value, and the more value you create, the more money naturally flows toward you. This isn't about hustling or grinding, it's about aligning your gifts, skills, and attention with genuine needs in the marketplace. The person who understands value creation doesn't chase money. They create solutions, and money chases them as a natural consequence. The beauty of this principle is its accessibility. You don't need a business degree or startup capital to begin creating value. You need clarity about what problem you can solve and for whom. Perhaps you have a skill in organization that could help overwhelmed entrepreneurs. Perhaps you understand a technical tool that confuses others. Perhaps you have a gift for making complex ideas simple. Whatever your capacity, there are people right now who would gladly exchange money for that capacity applied to their need. The overnight work here is not manifesting clients out of thin air. It's programming your subconscious to recognize value creation opportunities that already surround you. Opportunities your scarcity-focused mind has been filtering out. Excellence compounds value exponentially. The person who does adequate work receives adequate pay. The person who consistently delivers beyond expectations becomes someone clients fight to hire and pay premium rates. This isn't perfectionism, it's the commitment to doing whatever you do with care, attention, and a service mindset. Each night before sleep, you can install this value creation consciousness. I create immense value for others with simplicity and excellence. People seek me out because I solve their problems beautifully. My skills are in high demand, and I'm compensated generously. Combined with actual skill building and market awareness during waking hours, this programming creates a magnetic field around you. The subconscious begins scanning for opportunities to serve, to solve, to create value, and where value creation flows, money follows as certainly as water flows downhill. The compound effect is Einstein's eighth wonder applied to prosperity, small behaviors, seemingly insignificant in isolation, snowballing into massive financial transformation through consistency and time. A $5 daily coffee habit costs over $1,800 annually, but invested at modest returns compounds to hundreds of thousands over decades. A 30-minute daily skill upgrade seems trivial until you realize it's over 180 hours of expertise building per year. The overnight reprogramming work must include installing compound consciousness, the deep understanding that tiny, consistent actions in alignment with abundance create results that eventually dwarf any single dramatic effort. Most people sabotage their prosperity by underestimating small actions and overestimating big events. They're waiting for the promotion, the inheritance, the business breakthrough. Meanwhile, they leak money through a dozen small holes they never notice. And they miss a dozen small opportunities they consider too minor to pursue. The compound effect reverses this. Plug the small leaks, and you create a reservoir. Seize the small opportunities, and you build momentum that attracts larger ones. Before sleep, as you program your subconscious, include this truth: small, wise actions compound into extraordinary results. I honor the power of consistency. I recognize that massive wealth is built through tiny, repeated choices aligned with abundance. The practical application is to identify 3 small financial behaviors you can sustain indefinitely. Perhaps saving 10% of every dollar that enters your life. Perhaps spending 15 minutes daily learning about wealth building. Perhaps tracking every expense to create consciousness around money flow. These behaviors should be so small they're almost embarrassingly easy. That's how you know they're sustainable. The magic isn't in the behavior itself, but in the compounding of that behavior over time. Your subconscious, programmed overnight with compound consciousness, begins to make these tiny choices automatic. You stop debating whether to save. You just do. You stop procrastinating the learning. You just begin. Over months and years, these microscopic course corrections create a completely different financial trajectory, not through heroic effort but through the quiet, relentless power of actions that compound. The wealth you seek isn't in one giant leap. It's in the 1,000 tiny steps you take while others are sleeping. Generosity and stewardship form the paradoxical engine of abundance. The more you give freely, the more flows back to you, not because you're manipulating cosmic ledgers but because generosity recalibrates your consciousness from scarcity to overflow. The person gripping money in fear cannot receive more, their closed fist blocks the flow in both directions. But the person who gives, not from surplus but from trust, demonstrates at the deepest level of being that they are tenter novamente ui continuer editor 2/2 not in lack. That more is always coming, that they are a conduit rather than a container. This shift from hoarding to circulation is what transforms financial reality, and the overnight programming must include this generous identity: I am a channel through which prosperity flows. I give freely, knowing return is inevitable. I steward wealth for the benefit of all. Stewardship is generosity's mature sibling, the understanding that wealth is not yours to grip but yours to manage wisely for a season. The steward doesn't own. The steward tends, grows, and directs resources toward their highest use. This consciousness changes everything about how you handle money. You're no longer a desperate accumulator trying to build a fortress against future lack. You're a trusted manager of flow, making wise decisions about where resources should go to create maximum value. Before sleep, install this stewardship identity. Visualize yourself making financial decisions not from fear or greed but from wisdom and care, seeing money as energy to be directed rather than treasure to be buried. The subconscious, absorbing this pattern in theta, begins making you into someone the universe can trust with greater sums. The practice is deceptively simple. Give something every week, tracking both the giving and what returns. This isn't superstitious transaction with the cosmos, it's consciousness training. Give $10 to someone in need. Give your time to a cause you believe in. Give your knowledge to someone struggling. Give your attention to a friend's dream. Keep a record, what you gave, when, and what unexpected return appeared in your life afterward. You'll begin noticing a pattern, not immediate tit for tat, but a general increase in opportunities, connections, and resources flowing toward you. The tracking makes the invisible visible, proving to your conscious mind what your subconscious already knows. Generosity doesn't deplete you, it positions you in the flow where abundance moves fastest. Give from your current state, not your desired state. And watch how giving becomes the very mechanism through which desire manifests. Multiple income flows is the financial architecture of real security. The structure that transforms you from vulnerable employee to resilient wealth builder. Relying on a single income source, no matter how stable it appears, is building your financial house on a foundation with one pillar. When it falls, everything collapses. But the person who maps their skills to 3, 5, or 7 ethical income streams has created resilience that weathers any economic storm. The overnight work here is programming your subconscious to see income opportunities everywhere. To recognize that your skills and knowledge can serve value in numerous ways simultaneously. And to release the scarcity belief that you can only earn money one way at a time. Mapping skills to streams begins with inventory. What do you know? What can you do? And who needs it? Perhaps your primary income is employment, but you also have writing skills that could generate freelance revenue. Organizational abilities that could become consulting, or expertise in a hobby that could be taught. Each skill is a potential stream waiting to be activated. The subconscious, when programmed to see multiplicity rather than scarcity, begins noticing opportunities. A colleague mentions a problem you could solve for pay. An online platform appears that matches your skills with buyers. A conversation reveals a need you could fulfill. These opportunities were always there. But your single income consciousness filtered them out as irrelevant. The overnight installation focuses on abundance through diversity. Money flows to me through multiple channels. I recognize and activate diverse income opportunities. My skills serve many needs and generate multiple streams. Visualize yourself receiving income from various sources: employment, side project, investment returns, creative work. Whatever streams align with your gifts and values. Feel the security of knowing that if one stream slows, others continue flowing. This isn't about frantic hustling across a dozen ventures. It's about strategic positioning where your existing capacities create multiple value exchanges. Start with 2 streams, master the balance, then add a third. The compound effect of multiple streams isn't just additive, it's multiplicative, creating wealth-building momentum that single-source income can never achieve. Your financial stability doesn't depend on one employer's whim or one client's budget. It rests on a foundation of diversified value creation that the overnight programming helps you see and seize. Career leverage is the art of extracting maximum value from employment without exploitation. The skill of positioning yourself so that your time, expertise, and contribution command premium compensation. Too many people undervalue themselves catastrophically, accepting the first offer, never negotiating, staying silent about their worth, and wondering why prosperity eludes them. Meanwhile, those who understand leverage, negotiation, unfair advantages, and reputation capital consistently earn multiples more for the same skills. The overnight reprogramming must include worthiness installation. I am worth premium compensation. I negotiate from abundance. My value is recognized and rewarded generously. Negotiation is not conflict, it's conversation about mutual value creation. The person who negotiates their salary, even by 10%, earns thousands more annually and, through compound effects of raises based on that higher base, potentially hundreds of thousands more over a career. Yet most people never negotiate because their subconscious holds a script about being grateful for whatever's offered, not making waves, or not being that person. This script costs you fortune. Before sleep, install new negotiation consciousness. Visualize yourself in a compensation conversation, calmly stating your worth, providing evidence of your value, and receiving agreement. Feel the calm confidence of someone who knows their value is not up for debate. The subconscious, programmed with this pattern, makes actual negotiation feel natural rather than terrifying. Unfair advantages are the unique combinations of skills, experiences, and perspectives that only you possess, your particular alchemy that makes you irreplaceable rather than interchangeable. Perhaps you combine technical skill with unusual communication ability. Perhaps you have industry knowledge plus creative thinking. Perhaps you bridge cultural contexts others can't. Identifying and leveraging these advantages positions you in a category of one, where competition evaporates and compensation rises. Reputation capital compounds these advantages. Every excellent delivery, every exceeded expectation, every relationship honored builds reputation that precedes you and commands premium rates. Overnight, program this: I recognize and leverage my unique advantages. My reputation grows with every interaction. I am known for excellence and compensated accordingly. Combined with intentional reputation building during waking hours. This creates a magnetic field where opportunities, offers, and generous compensation seek you out. You have more leverage than you realize. Tonight, program yourself to use it. Entrepreneurship basics: strip away the mystique and reveal the simple mechanics, offers, proof, and pricing without fear. An entrepreneur is simply someone who creates value in the marketplace outside traditional employment structures, and the barrier to entry has never been lower. You don't need venture capital or a revolutionary idea. You need clarity about what problem you solve, evidence that you can solve it, and the courage to price your solution appropriately. The overnight work here is eliminating the subconscious blocks around entrepreneurship, the fear of failure, the imposter syndrome. The belief that business is complicated or only for certain people. The offer is everything. What specific problem do you solve? For whom, and what's the outcome they can expect? Vague offers produce vague results. I help people generates no revenue. I help overwhelmed solo entrepreneurs organize their digital files so they can find anything in under 30 seconds is an offer someone will pay for. Before sleep, if entrepreneurship calls to you, visualize yourself making clear, confident offers. See potential clients nodding in recognition of their problem. Feel yourself articulating the solution with certainty. The subconscious, absorbing this pattern, begins helping you refine your offer during waking hours. Making you sensitive to language that resonates and problems worth solving. Proof eliminates the biggest barrier to sales: trust. The person with testimonials, case studies, or demonstrable results can charge multiples of what the unproven person commands. Start small. Solve someone's problem for free or reduced rate in exchange for a testimonial. Document the process and outcome. Use that proof to land the next client at full price. Stack proof over time until your reputation alone closes sales. Pricing without fear requires detaching your worth from your rates. The price is not a referendum on your value as a human. It's a market signal about the value of the transformation you provide. Program overnight: I price my offers according to value delivered, not my own insecurity. I charge what I'm worth without apology. My ideal clients happily invest in my solutions. This consciousness shift, installed in Theta, gives you the backbone to hold your rates while others are discounting themselves into poverty. Entrepreneurship isn't a personality type, it's a skill set built on simple mechanics and powered by subconscious programming that supports bold action rather than sabotaging it. Sales as service is the reframe that transforms pushy transactions into generous exchanges. Most people resist sales because they've internalized the image of the manipulative salesperson, the person who tricks people into buying what they don't need. But real sales, ethical sales, is simply helping someone recognize they have a problem you can solve, addressing their concerns, and making it easy for them to say yes. When you deeply believe your offer serves people, selling becomes an act of service. You're not taking their money, you're giving them access to a solution that improves their life. The overnight programming must install the service consciousness. I serve people through my offers. Sales conversations are generous exchanges. I help people solve problems they genuinely have. Empathy is the foundation. You must feel, not just intellectually understand, the problem your prospect faces. When you've sat with their frustration, their pain, their desire for change, the sales conversation becomes natural. You're not performing or pitching. You're simply reflecting back what you've heard and offering a pathway forward. Before sleep, practice empathetic visualization. Imagine being in your prospect's situation, feeling what they feel, wanting what they want. Then imagine yourself offering the solution with genuine care. The subconscious, absorbing this empathy pattern, makes you naturally attuned to people's real needs during actual sales conversations. And people can feel when you genuinely care versus when you're performing. Objections are not rejection, they're requests for more information or reassurance. It's too expensive usually means I don't yet see enough value to justify the investment. I need to think about it often means I'm not convinced this will work for me. Your job isn't to overcome objections through manipulation but to understand the real concern and address it honestly. If you can't legitimately address it, the person isn't a fit, and that's okay. Clear next steps. Close sales. If this resonates, here's exactly what happens next. Make it simple, make it clear, remove friction. Program overnight. I listen deeply to concerns and address them honestly. I make it easy for right-fit people to say yes. I release those who aren't meant to work with me. This removes desperation from sales and installs service, which ironically closes more sales than any pushy technique ever could. When selling feels like serving, money flows freely because you're genuinely creating value exchanges that benefit both parties. Money systems are the infrastructure of prosperity. The boring but essential mechanisms that ensure wealth actually stays with you once it arrives. Many people experience brief windfalls or increased income only to watch it evaporate because they have no system to capture, direct, and multiply it. The wealthy don't just earn more, they have buckets, automation, buffers, and boundaries that turn income into lasting wealth. The overnight programming must include systems consciousness. I manage money with simple, effective systems. My wealth grows automatically. I have structures that protect and multiply my prosperity. Buckets are the division of money into specific purposes before you're tempted to spend indiscriminately. Necessities. Financial freedom, savings and investment, education, play, and giving. When money arrives, it's immediately allocated across buckets according to predetermined percentages, perhaps 50% necessities, 20% financial freedom, 10% education, 10% play, 10% giving. This system removes emotion and impulse from money management. You're not deciding each time what to do with money. You're following the system. Before sleep, visualize money arriving and flowing smoothly into your buckets, each one filling, each purpose funded. The subconscious, absorbing this organized approach, begins making you naturally systematic about money rather than chaotic. Automation ensures the system actually runs without requiring constant willpower. Automatic transfers to savings on payday. Automatic bill payments so you're never late. Automatic investment contributions that build wealth while you sleep. Buffers create breathing room. An emergency fund that covers 3 to 6 months of expenses eliminates the desperation that destroys good financial decision-making. When you have a buffer, you negotiate from strength, you take calculated risks, you sleep in peace. Boundaries protect the system from sabotage. Boundaries around lending money, boundaries around lifestyle inflation, boundaries around impulse purchases. Program overnight. I honor my financial boundaries. My systems run automatically. My buffers create peace and possibility. These systems, combined with the abundance consciousness you're installing nightly, create a structure that captures prosperity and compounds it rather than letting it slip through your fingers like water through a sieve. Wealth without systems is temporary. Tonight, program yourself to build the infrastructure that makes abundance permanent. Debt strategy requires emotional intelligence as much as mathematical precision. The ability to navigate the shame, fear, and overwhelm that debt triggers while simultaneously implementing a clear payoff plan. Debt is not a moral failure, it's a mathematical problem with mathematical solutions. And the overnight work must include releasing the emotional charge around debt so you can address it from clarity rather than paralysis. The two primary strategies, snowball and avalanche, each have their place, and choosing between them is less about the math and more about what your psychology needs to maintain momentum. The snowball method attacks the smallest debt first, regardless of interest rate, creating quick wins that build psychological momentum. You pay minimums on everything except the smallest debt, which receives all extra payment until it's eliminated. Then you roll that payment to the next smallest debt, creating a growing snowball of payment power. The math says avalanche is more efficient, attacking highest interest rate first, but humans are not purely mathematical beings. If you need motivation, if you need to see progress, if you need wins to believe change is possible, snowball delivers emotional fuel that keeps you going. Before sleep, if you're using snowball, visualize crossing off that first debt, feeling the liberation, feeling the momentum building. The subconscious absorbs the pattern of progress and completion, making you relentless in pursuit of the next win. Avalanche makes mathematical sense. Pay minimums on everything. Throw all extra money at the highest interest debt, save the most money long term. If you're motivated by optimization, if you can delay gratification, if you trust the process even when progress feels slow initially, avalanche is your method. The overnight programming supports either strategy. I am eliminating debt with consistency and wisdom. Every payment moves me toward freedom. I am patient with the process and celebrate each step. The crucial element both strategies share is dignity. You're not groveling in shame. You're not hiding from the reality. You're facing the numbers honestly and chipping away with whatever resources you have. Debt doesn't define you. It's simply a current condition you're changing. Program this dignity deeply. You are not your debt, and your worth is not determined by your balance sheet. With that consciousness installed and a clear strategy in place, debt becomes a temporary obstacle rather than a permanent identity. Investing basics are simpler than the financial industry wants you to believe. Broad indexes, long horizons, and emotional discipline turn modest contributions into substantial wealth over time. The complexity and mystique around investing keeps people paralyzed on the sidelines, their money languishing in checking accounts or savings accounts that don't even beat inflation. But the overnight work can install investing consciousness. I am an investor. My money works for me. I make wise, simple investment decisions that compound over time. Broad index funds, investments that own tiny pieces of hundreds or thousands of companies, eliminate the gambling aspect of picking individual stocks while capturing the long-term growth of the entire market. Instead of trying to find the next Amazon, you own all of them, accepting market returns which historically average around 7 to 10% annually. This isn't exciting, it's not sexy, but it works with reliability that speculation never achieves. Before sleep, visualize yourself as an investor, seeing your portfolio balance grow not through dramatic wins but through steady, compounding returns. Feel the calm confidence of someone who trusts the process rather than chasing hot tips. The subconscious, absorbing this investor identity. Makes you someone who thinks in decades rather than days. Horizons matter enormously. Money needed in the next 5 years shouldn't be in the stock market's volatility. But money you won't touch for 20 or 30 years can weather any storm and come out substantially ahead. Emotional discipline is the difference between investment success and failure. The person who sells in panic during downturns locks in losses, while the person who holds, or better, buys more, during crashes captures the eventual recovery. Program overnight. I invest for the long term. I remain calm during market fluctuations. I trust the historical pattern of market recovery and growth. This emotional steadiness, installed at the subconscious level, prevents the panic selling that destroys wealth. Start small if you must. Even $50 monthly into a broad market index fund compounds to significant wealth over decades. The amount matters less than the consistency and the consciousness shift from consumer to investor. Tonight, install the identity. You are someone who makes money work for them. Someone who builds wealth through simple, disciplined investing while others are chasing complexity and losing. Environment design is the strategic structuring of your physical and social surroundings to support abundance rather than sabotage it. Your environment is not neutral. Every visual cue, every relationship, every physical space is either reinforcing your prosperity programming or undermining it. The person who keeps their wallet empty, their workspace chaotic, and their social circle filled with complainers is fighting an uphill battle against environmental programming. But the person who designs their environment with intention creates external support for the internal work happening overnight. Making abundance feel natural rather than foreign. Cues are the small environmental triggers that prompt specific behaviors. If you want to save money, create a visual reminder, perhaps a picture of your financial goal on your bathroom mirror, seen every morning and night. If you want to invest consistently, automate it so the cue isn't needed. The behavior happens regardless of motivation. If you want to think abundantly, surround yourself with symbols of prosperity that feel authentic to you, perhaps a plant, growth, perhaps a vision board, perhaps simply a clean, organized wallet that treats money with respect. Before sleep, visualize your environment redesigned to support your financial transformation. See the cues, feel yourself responding to them naturally. The subconscious absorbs this environmental integration and begins making you sensitive to how your surroundings influence your financial behavior. Safeguards prevent self-sabotage. If you overspend on credit cards, freeze them in a block of ice, creating friction between impulse and action. If you avoid checking your finances, schedule a weekly money date with yourself, non-negotiable. If certain people drain your abundance consciousness, limit exposure without guilt. Anti-sabotage is recognizing your patterns of wealth destruction and designing specific blocks. Unsubscribe from marketing emails that trigger impulse purchases. Delete shopping apps from your phone. Change your route to avoid the coffee shop where you overspend. Program overnight. My environment supports my abundance. I design my spaces and relationships to reinforce prosperity. I remove friction from wealth building and add friction to wealth destroying behaviors. This isn't about willpower. Willpower is finite. This is about environmental architecture that makes the right choices easy and the wrong choices difficult. When your outer world aligns with your inner programming, abundance becomes inevitable. Look around you. What needs to change? Tonight, design it in your mind. Tomorrow, build it in reality. The 7-day obedience rhythm is a weekly structure that maintains momentum when motivation fades. The recognition that transformation requires consistent practice, not constant intensity. Many people attack their financial transformation with burst energy, 3 days of perfect execution followed by collapse back into old patterns. But the overnight reprogramming compounds most effectively when supported by a simple weekly rhythm, 7 specific practices. 1 for each day, creating a cycle that keeps you aligned without burning you out. This isn't rigidity. It's the kind of structure that creates freedom through consistency. Day 1 might be financial review, sitting down with your numbers. Tracking income and expenses, acknowledging what's working and what needs adjustment. Day 2 could be education, reading one chapter of a wealth-building book, listening to a financial podcast, expanding your money knowledge. Day 3 might be value creation, dedicating focused time to your skill development or side project that generates income. Day 4 could be relationship cultivation, reaching out to a connection, offering value, building the network through which opportunities flow. Day 5 might be investment action, making a contribution, rebalancing if needed, tending your long-term wealth garden. Day 6 could be generosity practice, giving time, money, or expertise, maintaining circulation consciousness. Day 7 might be sacred rest and integration, no financial action, just being, reflecting. Allowing the week's work to settle into your system. The beauty of this rhythm is its sustainability. You're never doing everything, but you're always doing something. Each weekly cycle reinforces the overnight programming because your waking actions align with your sleeping suggestions. Before sleep on Sunday, you might program, I honor my weekly rhythm. Each day has its purpose. I show up consistently without perfection. Then, each night, you acknowledge that day's practice and set intention for the next. Over months, this rhythm becomes automatic. You don't decide whether to review finances on day 1. You just do because that's what day 1 means. The subconscious loves rhythm and ritual. It interprets consistency as identity. When you show up weekly, predictably, in the same pattern, your subconscious concludes, this is who we are now, and the abundance programming deepens exponentially. The 7-day rhythm isn't a prison, it's a pathway, a set of tracks that keeps you moving toward prosperity even when you can't see the destination. The 30-day circulation challenge is the practical application of every principle discussed, compressed into a single month of intentional practice designed to produce undeniable evidence of abundance's responsiveness. For 30 consecutive days, you commit to 3 actions. Give something of value every single day, money, time, knowledge, attention. Learn something new about wealth building every single day, even if just a single concept. And report your results, journal what you gave, what you learned, and what showed up in your life. This isn't theory or philosophy, this is empirical testing of divine law. A personal experiment that either confirms or denies whether consciousness truly determines demonstration. The giving must be real, not leftovers or unwanted items. But something that costs you slightly, that requires you to trust. Perhaps you give $5 daily to someone in need, or you give 30 minutes of your expertise to someone who can't afford your rate, or you give genuine attention to someone usually ignored. The slight stretch is important. It signals to your subconscious that you're operating from abundance, not scarcity. The learning compounds your knowledge, one wealth principle, one investment concept, one business strategy per day. By day 30, you've acquired 30 new pieces of financial intelligence. And your subconscious has been consistently fed abundance consciousness for a full month. The reporting creates awareness of what's returning. Each evening, before your overnight reprogramming session, you journal, today I gave X. Today I learned Y. Today Z appeared in my life, opportunity, money, idea, connection. The correlation becomes undeniable, circulation produces increase. Not through magic but through consciousness shift. You start seeing opportunities you previously missed. You start receiving unexpected returns. You start experiencing synchronicities that seem impossible to dismiss as coincidence. By day 30, you have empirical proof that the principles work, and that proof becomes rocket fuel for your ongoing abundance journey. Before sleep tonight, commit to the challenge. For 30 days, I give, learn, and track. I prove to myself that abundance responds to circulation. I become undeniable evidence of divine law in action. Then begin tomorrow, and don't break the chain. Your financial reality will never be the same. Handling setbacks is the skill that separates those who achieve lasting prosperity from those who collapse at the first obstacle. Setbacks are not failure, they're feedback, course corrections, opportunities to refine your approach and deepen your programming. The person who interprets a financial setback as evidence that it's not working or I'm not meant to be wealthy has sabotaged their abundance before it can compound. But the person who reframes setbacks as temporary turbulence on the path to inevitable prosperity uses those very obstacles to strengthen their wealth consciousness and accelerate their demonstration. Reframing is the immediate response when the client cancels, when the expense surprises, when the income dips. Your first move is to reinterpret the event. Instead of "this always happens to me," you choose "this is temporary, and it's redirecting me to something better." Instead of "I knew it wouldn't work," you choose "this is information about what to adjust." The reframe isn't denial. You're not pretending the setback didn't happen. You're consciously choosing its meaning, and the meaning you assign determines whether the setback destroys momentum or builds resilience. Before sleep, after a setback, you program, "I interpret all events as working toward my highest good." Setbacks are setups for greater prosperity. I remain unshaken in my abundance identity. Relief valves prevent the pressure from building to explosive levels. When you feel overwhelmed, you need healthy release, perhaps a conversation with a trusted friend, perhaps physical exercise, perhaps creative expression. The valve lets steam escape without abandoning your commitment. Course correction follows reframe and relief. Okay, what do I learn from this? What needs to adjust? Perhaps the setback reveals you're targeting the wrong market, or your pricing is off, or your offer needs refinement. You extract the lesson, implement the adjustment, and continue forward with greater wisdom. Program overnight. I learn quickly from every experience. I make adjustments without shame. I course correct with grace and move forward with confidence. This consciousness, installed deeply, makes you anti-fragile, someone who actually grows stronger through adversity rather than being broken by it. Setbacks become your training ground for the level of wealth you're becoming capable of holding. The setback is not the end of your abundance story. It's the plot twist that makes the victory sweeter. Synchronicity and timing are the universe's communication system. The meaningful coincidences and perfect alignments that occur when your consciousness resonates with abundance. Some dismiss these as random chance. But the person who's been doing deep overnight reprogramming knows better. Synchronicity is confirmation that your subconscious has successfully aligned with divine law and is now magnetizing circumstances, people, and opportunities that match your new frequency. Learning to read these signals without tipping into superstition is the art. You recognize patterns without forcing meaning. You trust timing without becoming passive. The signals arrive in various forms. Perhaps you've been thinking about a specific opportunity, and someone mentions it unprompted within days. Perhaps you need a particular resource, and it appears from an unexpected source at exactly the right moment. Perhaps you've been visualizing a certain financial outcome, and the pathway to it suddenly becomes clear through a chance conversation. These aren't accidents, they're demonstrations that your inner work is manifesting outer results. Before sleep, program receptivity. I recognize and act on synchronicities aligned with my abundance. I trust divine timing. I see the signs and follow them with wisdom. Reading signals without superstition requires discernment. Not every coincidence is meaningful, and not every delay is a sign to quit. The key is feeling. Does this synchronicity create expansion, excitement, and clarity, or does it create confusion and contraction? Does this timing feel like divine orchestration or ego wishful thinking? You're not looking for signs to make decisions for you. You're noticing when reality conspires in your favor and having the courage to move with it. Trust timing even when it feels slow. Sometimes the delay is protecting you, preparing you, positioning pieces you can't yet see. Program overnight. I trust the timing of my abundance. What's meant for me cannot miss me. I act when synchronicity opens doors and rest when timing calls for patience. This balanced approach keeps you active without forcing, trusting without passivity, reading reality without inventing meaning that isn't there. The universe is speaking constantly. Overnight reprogramming tunes your receiver to the frequency where prosperity signals are clearest. The final decree for the night is the closing ceremony of your overnight reprogramming practice. The last conscious act before you surrender to theta and sleep. Everything you've done, the breathing, the visualization, the declarations, the identity work, culminates in this moment. The final decree seals the new identity, impresses it deeply into the subconscious with the force of absolute conviction, and sets the tone for the 8 hours of installation work that follow. This is not a wish or a hope. This is a command, a declaration of what is already true in consciousness and therefore must become true in form. The decree should be personal, concise, and emotionally charged, a single statement that encompasses your entire abundance transformation. Perhaps it's I am abundant, and my reality reflects this truth. Now, perhaps it's prosperity flows to me effortlessly, from expected and unexpected sources. Perhaps it's I am the person wealth recognizes and seeks out. Whatever your decree, it should resonate in your bones, should feel both bold and inevitable, should make your conscious mind slightly uncomfortable with its certainty while your subconscious receives it as simple fact. You speak this decree, aloud if possible, internally if necessary, with your full attention and authority as you feel yourself beginning to drift. The power is in the repetition, feeling, and positioning. You might repeat your decree 3 times, feeling it more deeply with each repetition. You feel it not as future possibility but as present reality. This is who you are now, this is what's true now, and sleep is simply the integration period. And you position it perfectly, the very last thing your conscious mind touches before theta claims you. As you feel the drift beginning, as your body grows heavy and your thoughts become dreamlike, you hold that decree gently but firmly in your awareness. I am abundant. Drift. I am abundant. Drifting. I am abundant. Gone. The decree becomes the seed planted in the perfect soil of theta, and overnight, while you sleep, it germinates, roots, and grows into tomorrow's demonstration. Speak your final decree tonight with the certainty of someone who knows divine law is already at work. Then sleep, and let the transformation happen. Morning integration is where overnight programming becomes waking action, where the consciousness installed during sleep expresses through your choices, behaviors, and responses throughout the day. Many people do beautiful work before bed, sleep deeply, then wake and immediately return to old patterns because they have no bridge between the sleeping transformation and waking application. The morning ritual creates that bridge. You consciously acknowledge the overnight work, you capture any insights or dreams, and you take at least one micro-action aligned with your new abundance identity before the day's demands sweep you away. Journaling is the first morning practice. Before checking your phone, before engaging with external demands, you spend 5 to 10 minutes writing. What do you remember from your overnight programming? Did any images, feelings, or insights arrive in dreams? What abundance evidence appeared yesterday that you want to acknowledge? What's your intention for demonstrating your new prosperity consciousness today? The journal makes the invisible visible. It takes the subconscious work and brings it into conscious awareness, reinforcing the pattern. The subconscious loves when you pay attention to its work. Acknowledgement in the journal tells it to keep going, to keep installing, to keep demonstrating. Microactions create immediate momentum before the day unfolds. You take one small step aligned with your abundant identity. Perhaps you transfer money to savings, honoring your stewardship. Perhaps you reach out to a potential client, honoring your value creation. Perhaps you spend 10 minutes learning something new about investing, honoring your investor identity. The action doesn't have to be large, it has to be aligned. This morning microaction sends a powerful message to your subconscious. I'm not just programming this at night. I'm living it during the day. The consistency of this pattern, overnight programming, morning integration, daytime demonstration, creates a complete feedback loop where your consciousness and your reality reinforce each other exponentially. Next leaps emerge naturally from this integration practice. As you journal and take microactions consistently, you'll notice bigger opportunities becoming clear. Perhaps it's time to have that salary negotiation, or launch that side project, or make that investment move, or end that financial drain. The overnight programming has been preparing you at the identity level. The morning integration has been proving you can take small aligned actions. Now you're ready for the leaps that seemed impossible months ago. Don't force them, let them emerge from the consciousness you've been building. When a leap feels both exciting and inevitable, that's your sign. Program it overnight, integrate it in the morning. Execute it with confidence during the day. Your abundance is not coming, it's already here. Expressing through the person you're becoming with each overnight session. Each morning practice, each aligned action. The blueprint is rewriting. The identity is shifting. The demonstration is inevitable. So here you stand, at the threshold of a decision that will determine your financial future. You've been given the mechanism, the precise understanding of how prosperity is programmed into the subconscious mind during those sacred hours when consciousness dissolves and deeper intelligence takes the wheel. You know now that wealth is not random, not accidental, not reserved for the lucky few. It's the inevitable demonstration of consciousness aligned with divine law. Installed systematically through the theta gateway before sleep, the question is not whether this works. The principles you've encountered are as reliable as gravity. Tested through centuries by mystics who became millionaires without understanding the neuroscience. And now confirmed by that very neuroscience they couldn't name. The question is whether you will apply them. Whether tonight, when you lay down to sleep, you will continue running the same poverty programs that have produced your current reality. Or whether you will interrupt that broadcast and install something entirely new. Whether you will drift off thinking about bills and problems and lack. Or whether you will hold your abundance identity, your final decree. Your vision of prosperity as the last impression before theta claims you. What would change if, for the next 30 nights, you treated the hour before sleep as the most important financial work you do? Not the hustling, not the strategizing, not the problem-solving of waking hours, but the quiet, intentional programming of your subconscious mind with wealth consciousness. What would your life look like 90 days from now if every single night, without exception, you installed abundance identity, cast your burdens, spoke your decrees, and visualized your prosperity with feeling as you drifted to sleep? What synchronicities would appear? What opportunities would manifest? What version of yourself would emerge? You already know the answer. Somewhere beneath the doubt and the old programming and the voice that says you've tried everything, you know this is different. You know the overnight window is real. You know your subconscious has been faithfully demonstrating whatever patterns you've been feeding it, and you know that feeding it different patterns will produce different results. The only question remaining is whether you'll begin tonight. Start simple. Tonight, before sleep, do this: breathe deeply for 3 minutes, consciously releasing the day's stress and creating the sacred container. Choose one decree that resonates with your whole being. Perhaps I am abundant, and my life reflects this truth now. Visualize one specific scene of your abundant life with sensory detail and genuine feeling. Hold that scene, that decree, that identity lightly in your awareness as you drift toward theta. Let it be the last thing your conscious mind touches. Then sleep, and trust the 8-hour installation process. Tomorrow morning, journal for 5 minutes. What do you remember? What do you notice? What's your intention for demonstrating abundance today? Take one micro action aligned with prosperity before checking your phone. Then repeat. Night after night after night. Not perfectly, consistently. Not with strain, with trust. Not someday, starting tonight. The wealth blueprint you've been running was installed before you could question it, in those early years when your mind was pure theta, recording everything without filter. You didn't choose it, but you've been living it faithfully. Now you have the knowledge and the mechanism to install a new blueprint, consciously, intentionally, systematically. The subconscious doesn't care which program runs, it simply runs whatever you install with Tenter Novamente Ue Continuaritar consistency and feeling. So install abundance. Install prosperity. Install the identity of someone wealth recognizes and rushes toward. This is not about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming who you actually are beneath the layers of inherited scarcity, absorbed limitation, and programmed lack. Abundance is your natural state. You were born worthy of prosperity, born as a conduit for infinite flow, born as someone through whom wealth could circulate freely for the benefit of all. Somewhere along the way, that truth got buried under other people's fears and the world's harsh lessons. The overnight reprogramming isn't creating something foreign. It's excavating what was always true. Polishing away the false programming until your original abundant nature shines through clearly enough to demonstrate in physical form. Consider this: if you continue exactly as you've been going, running the same mental patterns, holding the same beliefs, practicing the same relationship with money, where will you be 1 year from now? 5 years? 20? The trajectory is already visible if you're honest. But if you interrupt that pattern tonight, if you begin the nightly practice of conscious reprogramming during the theta window, the trajectory changes completely. Small shifts in consciousness create massive shifts in demonstration over time. The compound effect works with consciousness exactly as it works with money, tiny deposits. Consistently made, become fortunes that seemed impossible at the beginning. You might be thinking, but I've tried manifestation before. I've done affirmations. I've visualized. Nothing changed. Here's why this is different. You were probably trying to reprogram while your defenses were up, during waking hours when the conscious mind could interfere with doubt and contradiction. Or you were programming without feeling, speaking words your emotions didn't match. Or you were inconsistent, trying for a few days then abandoning the practice. The overnight method bypasses all those pitfalls. You're programming when defenses are down, when emotion is naturally accessible. And the consistency becomes easier because it's attached to the inevitable rhythm of sleep. Still, the doubt whispers. The old programming protests. The voice of scarcity says, this is too simple. Real wealth requires suffering, sacrifice, grinding harder. That voice is lying, but it's lying from a place of trying to protect you. The subconscious holds patterns because they once served a purpose. Perhaps scarcity consciousness kept your ancestors alive through genuine deprivation, and that vigilance got passed down to you. Thank that voice for its service, acknowledge its intention to protect, and then gently, firmly, install the new truth. I honor where this belief came from, and I release it now. Prosperity is safe. Abundance is mine to receive. Ease is available to me. What if you're afraid of success? Afraid that money will change you, corrupt you, distance you from people you love, burden you with responsibility you don't want? These fears are valid, and they're also programmable. Before sleep, you can install, I handle wealth with integrity and wisdom. Prosperity enhances my relationships and expands my positive impact. I am equipped for every level of abundance I reach. The subconscious, receiving these patterns in theta, dissolves the fears that have been blocking demonstration. You don't have to figure out how to be wealthy before wealth arrives. You program the consciousness first, and the wisdom to handle it grows naturally from that consciousness. Some of you are wondering about the practical timeline. How long until this works? The honest answer is that micro-demonstrations often begin within days, unexpected refunds, small opportunities, synchronicities that confirm the programming is taking hold. Larger demonstrations typically emerge within weeks to months, depending on how much contrary programming needs to be overwritten and how consistently you practice. Life-changing demonstrations, the career breakthrough, the business success. The financial freedom usually require months to years of consistent overnight installation. But they arrive with a certainty that those who persist come to trust completely. The key is to stop measuring success only by the big wins and start honoring the evidence that appears daily. Did you think differently about a financial situation today than you would have last month? That's evidence. Did you take an action aligned with abundance that fear would have previously blocked? That's evidence. Did you notice an opportunity you would have missed before? That's evidence. The demonstration is happening constantly in small ways that accumulate into the massive transformation you seek. Trust the process. Honor the micro-proof. Keep installing. Here's what happens when you commit fully to this practice. Within the first week, you notice you're sleeping better. The anxiety that used to keep you awake has been cast off, released into larger hands than your own. Within the first month, you notice your relationship with money has shifted. There's less fear, more curiosity, an emerging sense that you and prosperity are not enemies but partners. Within 3 months, tangible demonstrations appear that you can't dismiss. Income increases, opportunities manifest, resources show up exactly when needed. Within 6 months, you're living a recognizably different financial reality, and people around you start asking what changed. Within a year, you look back and barely recognize the person you were. The scarcity consciousness that once seemed so solid, so inevitable, so permanent, but it requires something from you: faith without evidence at the beginning, persistence through the middle, and surrender throughout. Faith that the principles work even before you've seen proof in your life. Persistence to continue the nightly practice even when the demonstration feels slow. Surrender to divine timing, trusting that what's being built in consciousness will express in form at exactly the right moment. These aren't weaknesses, they're the very qualities that open you to receive what your grinding effort could never produce. Imagine yourself 30 days from now, having completed the circulation challenge. You've given something of value every single day. Learned something new about wealth every single day. And tracked the returns that appeared, synchronicities. Opportunities, unexpected income, resources, connections. You have a journal filled with evidence that consciousness determines demonstration, that circulation precedes increase, that divine law responds to your alignment. How does that person feel? How do they move through the world? How do they make financial decisions? That person is not a distant possibility. They're who you become through 30 nights of committed practice. Starting tonight. Or imagine yourself 90 days from now, having installed your abundance identity every single night without exception. 3 months of theta programming, 3 months of morning integration, 3 months of aligned action. The person you'll be then has upgraded their worthiness, their magnetism, their relationship with money so fundamentally that opportunities you can't even imagine yet will be presenting themselves naturally. That version of you doesn't chase prosperity. Prosperity seeks them out because they've become someone it recognizes as a match. As home, as the natural destination for flow. This is not about overnight riches. This is about overnight transformation that leads to demonstrated riches over time. The person waiting for the lottery win, the inheritance, the sudden windfall without consciousness change will sabotage any money that arrives because they haven't become someone who can hold it. But you're doing the deeper work. You're becoming, at the identity level, at the subconscious level, someone for whom abundance is natural, inevitable, and permanent. When money comes to that person, it stays and multiplies because it's found fertile soil rather than rocky ground. Let's address the voice that says you don't deserve this. The voice that recites your failures, your mistakes, your unworthiness. That voice is not truth, it's old programming, and old programming can be rewritten. Your past financial failures don't determine your future financial demonstration. Your current bank balance doesn't define your inherent worth. Your family history of struggle doesn't have to be your destiny. All of that is simply the demonstration of consciousness you've been running, and consciousness can change tonight. Start fresh. Forgive yourself completely. Release the burden of past mistakes. Then program, I am worthy of unlimited prosperity. My past does not determine my future. I am becoming someone abundance recognizes and blesses. What about the people in your life who won't understand this work, who'll mock your talk of theta states and subconscious programming and divine law? Protect your practice with sacred privacy. You don't need to announce your overnight reprogramming work or defend it to skeptics. Let your results be your testimony. Let your transformed life be the evidence that silences doubt. Share wisdom with those who are ready to receive it, and allow others to remain in whatever consciousness serves them. Your prosperity doesn't require anyone else's permission or understanding, it requires only your commitment to the nightly practice and your willingness to demonstrate what you're installing. Some will ask about the spiritual dimension. Is this compatible with my faith, my beliefs, my religious practice? The answer is yes. These principles transcend any single tradition because they're fundamental laws of consciousness that every wisdom tradition has discovered in its own language. Call it God, universe, divine mind, higher self, infinite intelligence, or pure consciousness, the law works the same. You're not abandoning your faith. You're applying it with precision. You're not manipulating the divine. You're aligning with it. You're not demanding from the universe. You're cooperating with its fundamental operating principles. Whatever language resonates with your spirit, use it. The mechanism remains the same. Now, let's speak to those who are already wealthy but sense there's another level available. The overnight reprogramming practice isn't only for those in lack, it's for anyone seeking to expand their capacity to receive, circulate, and steward greater resources. Perhaps you've reached a financial plateau and can't seem to break through to the next level. Perhaps you have wealth but carry stress, fear of losing it, or guilt about having it. Perhaps you sense you're meant to handle resources at a scale you haven't yet imagined. The theta programming works at every level. Install the identity of someone who easily manages millions, who circulates wealth wisely, who enjoys prosperity without anxiety. Your current success proves you can hold what you have. The overnight work prepares you to hold what's next. Think about the ripple effects of your financial transformation. This isn't just about you having more money, it's about what you do with that abundance once it flows freely. How many people could you employ? How many causes could you support? How many lives could change because you finally stepped into the prosperity that's been waiting for your consciousness to align with it? Your abundance is not selfish, it's a prerequisite for the service, the generosity, the impact you're meant to create. The world doesn't need you to stay small and struggling. The world needs you wealthy, generous, and powerful in your purpose. Consider the legacy implications. What financial consciousness are you passing to the next generation? If you have children, they're absorbing your relationship with money right now, recording your words, your emotions, your behaviors around finances. They're installing programs that will run their lives unless consciously rewritten. By transforming your own consciousness, by modeling abundance, ease, and wise stewardship, you're giving them a blueprint far more valuable than any inheritance. You're breaking generational patterns of lack. You're beginning a new lineage of prosperity. Your overnight work isn't just changing your life, it's changing the trajectory of your family line. Here's the truth that will either liberate you or terrify you, depending on your readiness. You are already manifesting perfectly. Right now, your current financial reality is the precise demonstration of your current consciousness. Not sometimes, not partially, perfectly. Every dollar you have or don't have, every opportunity that comes or passes, every financial experience you encounter is the exact outpicturing of your subconscious programming. This is terrifying if you believe you're a victim of circumstances. But it's profoundly liberating if you understand it means you have total power to change the demonstration by changing the consciousness. The overnight reprogramming method gives you that power back. Instead of unconsciously running inherited programs and wondering why your reality matches them so exactly, you consciously install new programs and watch reality reorganize to match those. You're not fighting against your subconscious anymore, you're working with it, speaking its language, feeding it patterns during the window when it's most receptive. The subconscious becomes your ally instead of your saboteur. Your creative partner instead of your prison guard. What's required is a choice. Right now, before the moment passes and old patterns reassert themselves. The choice to begin tonight. The choice to treat your pre-sleep hour as sacred reprogramming time. The choice to speak your decrees with authority, visualize your abundance with feeling, and drift into theta holding your new identity. The choice to trust the process even before you see results. The choice to persist through doubt, distraction, and the inevitable voice that says to quit. You've been given every tool, the understanding of how the subconscious receives programming. The specific practices for theta installation. The abundance principles that govern demonstration. The practical strategies for managing wealth once it flows. And the integration practices that bridge sleeping transformation with waking action. Nothing is missing. The only variable is your commitment to consistent application. So let me ask you directly, are you willing to invest 10 minutes before sleep every night for 30 days to transform your financial reality? Are you willing to breathe deeply, speak decrees with authority, visualize abundance with feeling, and drift to sleep holding your prosperous identity? Are you willing to journal for 5 minutes each morning, take one micro-action aligned with wealth, and track the evidence as it appears? Are you willing to give something daily, learn something daily, and notice the synchronicities that confirm you're aligning with divine law? If the answer is yes, and I sense it is, or you wouldn't still be here, then your journey begins tonight. Not tomorrow. Not after you finish this or that. Tonight. Because every night you delay is another night running the old program. Another night letting the subconscious demonstrate scarcity by default. Another night missing the theta window where transformation happens effortlessly. Before you sleep tonight, you're going to create the sacred container, breathe deeply. Release the day, settle your body in receptive posture. You're going to choose your decree, one powerful statement of your abundant identity. You're going to visualize one specific scene of your prosperous life with sensory richness and genuine emotion. And you're going to hold that pattern gently but firmly as you drift into theta, letting it be the final impression before sleep claims you. 8 hours later, you'll wake slightly different than you were. And tomorrow night you'll do it again. And the night after, and the night after. Until the new pattern has completely overwritten the old and your outer reality has reorganized to match your inner transformation. This is your moment. The principles are reliable. The method is proven. The window is open. All that's needed is your decision to step through it. The wealth you seek is not somewhere out there, waiting to be found. It's here, waiting to be allowed. It's trying to flow to you right now. But the old programming keeps deflecting it, filtering it out, convincing you it's not available or not meant for you. Tonight, you remove that interference. Tonight, you install the patterns that allow abundance to flood through the channels that have been blocked for years. Tonight, you become, at the deepest level of being, someone prosperity recognizes as home. Sleep is not just rest, it's opportunity. The theta state is not just biology, it's access. The subconscious mind is not just psychology, it's the creative mechanism through which divine law expresses in your individual life. You've been given the keys to the kingdom. The only question is whether you'll use them. I believe you will. I believe you're ready. I believe this information has found you at exactly the right moment, and I believe you have the courage to apply it consistently until demonstration is undeniable. I believe your abundance is inevitable, and I believe the overnight reprogramming practice will be the catalyst that shifts everything, but my belief is irrelevant. What matters is yours. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, remember this: you are not who you were. The person who began this journey, hours ago, carried beliefs and patterns that have already begun to loosen. Something has shifted in your understanding of what's possible. Honor that shift. Build on it. Let it be the first of many until you've transformed completely. Speak your decree with the certainty of someone who knows divine law is already at work. Visualize your abundance with the feeling of someone who's already living it. Drift into sleep holding the identity of someone prosperity seeks out. And tomorrow, wake and take one action that proves you've become that person. This is not theory anymore. This is your practice, starting tonight. This is your transformation, beginning now. This is your abundance, already here, waiting only for your consciousness to align with it fully. The overnight reprogramming work is complete when you no longer need to consciously do it, when abundant thinking, prosperous feeling, and magnetic being have become so natural that theta just deepens what's already true. Until then, you practice. Every night. Without exception. With full commitment, and one morning, you'll wake and realize the person you've become is unrecognizable from the person you were. You'll check your bank balance and see numbers that once seemed impossible. You'll notice opportunities flowing toward you that once flowed past. You'll make financial decisions with ease that once caused anxiety. You'll live in abundance that once felt like a distant dream. That morning is coming. The overnight hours between now and then are the bridge. Cross it with intention. Cross it with faith. Cross it with the certainty that consciousness determines demonstration, and you are becoming the consciousness that demonstrates wealth. Your financial blueprint is rewriting itself tonight. The subconscious is ready. The theta window is waiting. Divine law is standing by to confirm whatever pattern you install with consistency and feeling. Install abundance, install prosperity, install the truth of who you really are, and watch your world transform to match. The work begins tonight. The demonstration is already in motion. Your abundance is inevitable. Sleep well and wake wealthy.